just know you are waving goodbye to precious resale dollars. Not to mention, most of the other road users out there are just going to think your car looks like a complete joke anyway. But if it's obvious that you've cheaped out on the repairs, well then don't be surprised when people start to lowball you. But above all, hiding things when you're trying to sell a car is just a dick move. There's nothing worse than getting to the point of selling your car only to realize that you're most likely going to end up selling it for thousands, if not tens of thousands of dollars less than what you'd hoped for. Well, what if we told you there are a whole bunch of things killing the resale value of your car? And that's why we've split this video into 3 parts. Part 1, the things that relate to buying the car, then the things you do while owning it, and lastly, what to do when it comes time to sell it. All of which will hopefully mitigate you losing a fortune. Now, this might not surprise you at all, but certain car brands out there depreciate way more than others. And, at least through our research, it seems that the luxury brands are the least forgiving when it comes time to sell. Now, we are going to do an entire video on the cars that depreciate the worst, so we're not going to go into every specific detail right now. But what we see is that Mercedes-Benz, Audi, BMW and Range Rover are some of the worst offenders, at least when you compare their resale value against their competitors. Meanwhile, Honda, Mazda, Toyota, Suzuki and Lexus, they all tend to shed value at a much slower rate than the luxury Euro stuff. Again, we have a full video coming soon on the best and worst cars for resale value. Another consideration is the powertrain. Often a hybrid can fetch more when you sell it over a petrol or diesel equivalent. And look, this isn't true in every single case, and of course hybrids do cost more to buy new, so it does really come down to what's more important. And when it comes to the car to buy, and we need to make this really clear, we're not suggesting for a second that the car's resale value should be your absolute top priority when it comes to buying. Sure, a Mercedes-Benz might drop in value faster than a Lexus, but if you love Mercs and you'd rather drive one despite the potential resale nightmares, well, go for your life. All we're saying is that if you do care about resale value, well, there are quite a few things you can do. For example, and maybe to a lesser degree, the color of the car that you choose, it can have an impact. This can obviously be dependent on the car. Lavish colors like yellow, orange, purple, stuff like that, they might be desirable on the more exotic stuff, but on normal cars, these are the colors that many dealers try to avoid having on their lot. But the good thing is here, if you just make the right choices, well, you can therefore expect to get the most out of it financially when it comes to sale time. But one of the big negatives are shitty mods. Now look, we'll get to the exceptions in a moment, but almost all of the mods you make to a car hurt the resale value, especially when it comes to aesthetic ones. If you're the kind of person that is always chasing a bigger and bigger aftermarket wing, or you absolutely must fit the largest possible chrome rims every time you buy a car, or maybe you insist on getting the most Temu spec bag of fake carbon fiber winglets and shit to glue on every single body panel, just know you are waving goodbye to precious resale dollars. Not to mention, most of the other road users out there are just going to think your car looks like a complete joke anyway. However, there are a few mods that could possibly improve the resale value of your car. For example, have you got a Ford Focus ST or Fiesta ST and you've fitted a reputable and factory-backed mount tune kit? Well, go you. Or maybe you couldn't splash out on an AMG when shopping for a Merc, but you were able to find and fit a set of genuine AMG rims. Sure, that's usually fine, but just maybe keep the old rims as well. But what if you've bought a 4-wheel drive and you've fitted a winch and a bull bar and a canopy and a GVM upgrade? Well look, yeah, most of that stuff is music to the ears of the right buyer, so feel free to go to town. But just remember, chances are you're still going to be selling all of those accessories for far less than what you paid for them originally. And no matter what though, just make sure they've been fitted professionally and keep all the receipts. The bottom line is that usually people like to buy cars that are as close to the original condition as possible, especially when it comes to the mechanical stuff. If it's clear that the engine has been tampered with, stuff like that can often undermine factory warranties and generally causes the new owner to question how reliable the car's going to be in the future. And that can have a huge impact on your resale value. Are you tired of streaky, squeaky wipers? Confused by wipers that are hard to buy and even harder to fit? Sick of paying extortionate prices for wipers? Well, introducing Wipertech. Purchase wipers from the leisure of your home and have them delivered straight to your door. Not only are they a piece of cake to fit, they fit perfectly and you can now enjoy streak and squeak-free wipering all day. Plus, use our code and get 15% off your purchase. Okay, this next one is so simple. Just service the car by the book at the very least. We're not going to get into certain manufacturers' stupidly long service intervals and why they should be done far more often in this video, but as a rule, if you've had the car serviced to the intervals in the logbook, you are going to tempt more customers, and therefore you should be able to charge a premium. If you start skipping services either due to laziness or not wanting to spend the cash, remember you're tanking your resale, because now the tag of incomplete service history will forever follow that car. Look, accidents happen, but if it's purely minor aesthetic stuff and the repairs have been done properly and professionally, that shouldn't hurt your resale value too much. But if it's obvious that you've cheaped out on the repairs, well then don't be surprised when people start to lowball you. If you get into a minor car park altercation and you dent a panel and lose some paint, consider getting it professionally seen to. Don't just get a mate with a spray gun to whack a vaguely similar shade of paint over a panel that you've corrected by hand. Obviously, you need to consider the overall value of the car. If it's some beaten up old shitbox that you don't care about, we understand not splashing cash all over it to make it look as good as new. But if the car is near new and you plan on selling it one day and you want to get the most amount of money for it, well, then just get it repaired properly. Okay, let's be honest here. As car people, we all love to tinker with our cars, often to a point where we can't leave the bloody things alone. But this brings us to our new mates at Automotive Superstore, where you can shop from over 400,000 products, including car care, infotainment systems, audio, dash cams, lights, brakes, suspension, 4x4 gear, plus a whole lot more. Plus, to make life even easier, if you don't know the specific part that you're after, just type in your reg show and it will display all of the parts and accessories suited for your car. Best of all, you can do that completely online from the comfort of your lounge room because they ship Australia-wide. So if your car needs something fixed or upgraded, or maybe you're just in the market for a gift, hit the link below and shop from a huge range of products from Automotive Superstore. Now, this next one has less to do with resale and more to do with your wallet, but just get things done quickly, especially if they just seem minor. A stone chip can be annoying and seemingly irrelevant, but if it's chipped all the way down to the bare metal, this can quickly introduce rust, which can become an insidious problem that will be far more expensive to repair than if you just hit it with some primer and some touch-up spray straight away. And it's the same with a chipped windscreen. A small crack that requires a patch can easily become a full windscreen replacement in no time. Then stuff like a leaking sunroof, you might think that you can live with a bit of water, but if your car is full of electronics, which let's be honest, it most likely is, well, electronics aren't all that fond of water. The longer you leave these things, the more dominoes can fall, potentially leaving you with a much bigger bill than if you just sorted the problem out in the first place. Basically, if you just generally look after the car as best as you possibly can, it will repay you at the other end. Speaking of the other end, there's a few things you can do when actually listing the car that will give you a better chance of getting the money that you want. When it comes to preparing your car for sale, wash it, polish it, get rid of all of your stuff, vacuum it, at least do the bare basics. Better yet, get it serviced just before you sell it. Maybe replace the tyres, or at least make sure all the tyres match. Fix any dents or gutter rash. Basically, anything that you can do that indicates to a buyer that you genuinely care about the car is going to pay dividends. Of course, this is often a balancing act between how much you spend on the car versus how much value it's going to add to the car, but often if you spend a few $100s, that can reduce the opportunities for a buyer to potentially lowball you by thousands of dollars. But if you're not willing to wash the car or vacuum the interior or just basic stuff like that, how can you expect a buyer to want to spend more money on your car? Then, and assuming you're listing the car yourself, but honestly, even for some of the dealers out there, just take some good photos of the car. It's really not that hard. Pretty much everyone has an iPhone, or at least a phone with a camera more than capable of taking good photos. And take photos of everything. No one has ever complained about there being too many photos of the car they're potentially looking at buying. We shoot all of the video and photos for ReDriven on an iPhone, so it should be awesome for your car pics. On top of all the basic shots, take photos of the logbooks, the keys, the odometer, the tyre condition, and also any damage. Even if none of that stuff is up to scratch, just be upfront. Look, a potential buyer is going to find out about the issues anyway, and if you give them reason to think that you're hiding something or maybe you're guilty, well, they're either just going to walk away or punish you with a lowball offer. But above all, hiding things when you're trying to sell a car is just a dick move. Don't be a dick. So basically, buy the right car to begin with, don't treat it like shit, both in terms of the mods and maintenance, keep it as good as you possibly can for as long as you can, and treat the potential next owner with courtesy and respect, and hopefully you'll be ahead both financially and just in life. But we have a question for you. What are your best buying and selling car success and horror stories? Let us know in the comments, and stay tuned for our best and worst depreciating cars lists. See you next time. Well, what if we told you there are you're waving goodbye to precious to glue on every single body panel. I'll do it and actually breathe. This can obviously, oh my God, I'm done, my brain's out.